It's Christmas, okay? So let's be nice. Hello, I am the Irish guy, and yes, so often I am the one to put the foot in on underperforming players, right? But today I have asked on Twitter who every Premier League club's most criticised player is by their own fans, and today I'm going to defend each and every one. I'm going to stick up for them. Leave them alone. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Gabriel Martinelli. Gabriel Martinelli eats children. This is someone who's got a fridge full of dead kittens. He is somebody who actually tricks the world into giving the Big Bang Theory 5 stars on Amazon Prime. He is clearly an awful human being who has to stop himself from pushing grannies off London escalators, right? This is what you'd be led to believe by the way some Arsenal fans speak about this Brazilian winger. Look, I know that it was frustrating not to score against Everton at home, but some Gunners fans, the way you talk about him, you swear he was some fat washed up muffin that if you yanked off his mask Scooby-Doo style, you just see William underneath with cheeseburger crumbs coating his mouth. But no, don't underestimate just what a special and rare, raw talent Martinelli is. He's still only 23. He is absolutely not anywhere near the finished article, no. Well, he has got all the fundamental elements, the skill, the close control, the insane pace, and yes, at times, his finishing can be really good. This is on Arteta to put that all together. He has the recipe in his feet to be world class. I mean, lads, Thierry Henry as a statue outside the ground. He was just voted the best Premier League forward of all time. I mean, when Jimmy Carragher was hyping him up on the telly, Henry looked more embarrassed than a 12-year-old caught shoe shopping with his mum, but he was a frustrating left winger in his early 20s too. I mean, don't forget, it is horrible. 3-goal season for Juventus at 21. People moan about why Martinelli is in the starting 11 over Leandro Trossard. Lads, Martinelli has the potential to be a generational player. Trossard is just a good winger, but no better than Damien Duff when he was 30, and he was getting relegated at 30. Honestly, lads, if you chase Martinelli out of London, you'll regret it. Aston Villa, Matty Cash. Poor old Matty Cash. I don't know why he gets maligned so much at Aston Villa. No, actually I do, because he's just a victim of being there too long. It has happened at Newcastle United as well. When a club embarks on a new ambitious star-studded era, when they go from being a relegation-threatened team, sick bucket of a side, to now having Champions League ambitions and splashing out on expensive new signings, then fans aren't too happy to see the reminders of their old gloomy years. These supporters want to see upgrades in every single position on the pitch. Cash is a fine 27-year-old attacking right-back, a quality Poland international, even though he looks more English than the Prince. Villa fans are like children who grew up in an orphanage and are now suddenly adopted by a millionaire. Yeah, they want exciting new presents off Santa Claus. They don't still want to be wearing those wee soaked trainers they stole from a tramp. It's like a nerd who suddenly gets cool and popular. They don't really want to still wear the glasses they had when they were a geek. Cash gets a hard time simply because he was bought by Dean Smith, somebody who now lives in America and probably hasn't been asked for a selfie in years. I mean, he's not even the most famous Dean Smith in North Carolina. When he orders a coffee, the Starbucks barista probably assumes that it's the basketball coach back from the dead. Just a zombie Dean Smith. And so yeah, Villa fans, they simply look down their nose at Cash because ironically, it's a reminder they used to be poor, but if Emery had signed him this summer, oh, you'd be wanting to kiss his toes in Burger King. Bournemouth Marcus Tavernier. Look, Bournemouth fans don't complain all that much. Everyone in that seaside village is a mild-mannered retired dentist. Blokes who haven't even so much as swore since a patient bit their thumb in 2012. I don't think Marcus Tavernier is having to put on a disguise whenever he goes shopping with his wife. Ain't nobody gonna hurt an ice cream cone in his face, but I asked this question on Twitter, and it would appear the Bournemouth fans aren't too pleased by his performances lately. And look, the 25-year-old winger's numbers aren't great. And so naturally, if a club now has European ambitions, they probably shouldn't still be starting a player who has zero chance of ever getting an England cap. Honestly, the only way Thomas Tuchel is ever calling up this Newcastle United reject is if Tavernier's mum kidnaps his dog. And so yeah, the Cherries could probably do with an upgrade on the right wing, but there is a reason that Andoni Iraola started him in nearly every game this season. He's got good work rate, he's not flash, not skillful, and yes, on paper, he is about as exciting as unwrapping a vegan cookbook for Christmas. But he is a reliable 7 out of 10 winger every week, and is capable of the odd screamer. Honestly, I think he's fine. Brighton, Julio Enciso. Again, I'm not really seeing Brighton fans moan all that much, but Julio Enciso's hype seems to have fallen off a cliff. Honestly, after his meniscus tear in his knee a year ago, he came back in February, and Roberto De Zerbi was trying to squeeze this little South American magician back into his starting 11 as a number 10. Well, Fabian Hersler's has come in and decided that this special little Paraguayan nugget is actually about as useful as an earwax sandwich. 0 starts so far this term, just given a few cameos off the bench, and lads, he's been stable to the bench for the full 90 minutes 5 times this season. This isn't me having a go at Brighton fans. I'm having a go at the ridiculously young manager who's trying to stamp his authority by embarrassing a possible generational talent. Don't think we've all just forgotten about his ridiculous Premier League goal of the season against Man City, and when he did the same thing against Chelsea a month before. He's got outrageous technique. He's a potentially unbelievable player. I mean, before his knee injury, he was linked with a mega money move to Man City. So can we please stop pretending that he's just the modern day Charles Nzogbia? Coach him right, and he's class. But unfortunately, he's in the hands of someone who's too young to remember Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Brentford Nathan Collins. Nathan Collins is an easy target because, lads, he has been an expensive journeyman, flying through Stoke, Burnley, Wolves, and Brentford in just 3.5 years, in what is surely the ugliest train journey in the world. It sounds like the Interrail from hell. Touristing in places so hideous. Ain't nobody gonna want to see your photos when you're done. But look, he was a club record Brentford buy, and I get it, okay? The defense is not up to much. 30 goals conceded in 16 games. But if you ignore the fact that he is alone the top 2 most expensive Irish footballers of all time, and I think he's just pretty decent mid-table centre-back. Chelsea, Nottingham Forest. Look, Robert Sanchez is probably the most maligned player in Chelsea's squad, sure. But I actually can't defend him because I also think he is an average milk muffin. And in another world, Enzo Maresca's goalkeeper would be Emiliano Martinez instead, because Brighton had tried to sign him from Arsenal in 2020. And if they have, then I'm pretty sure Chelsea would have followed through with completely robbing their entire game plan, and yeah, they'd currently have a world champion in net instead of someone wobblier than Jay-Z's marriage. But someone who also gets criticism is Nunny Madwake. And I'm gonna stick up for him here because I'm a Nunny Madwake, a greedy ball hogger who hates sharing the ball. Look, Madwake has proved me wrong because I thought that him being signed from PSV for £28 million would age poorly, that he was soon going to be buried at the bottom of a pile of new signings. I thought he would be someone who by now would be stuffed in the Chelsea basement, left out of matchday squads, and would now be spending his Saturday afternoons taking girls on dates up the London Eye. But no, his whole Chelsea career was saved by that hat-trick against Wolves on match day 2. That bought him a proper chance under Enzo, and he's been quality. His step-overs, close control, maverick skill. He's got all the tools to be one of England's best players. I truly mean that. He could be a threat to Saka on the right wing. I know Chelsea fans moan at him because he hogs the ball, but I'm sorry. Zola? Hazard? 2 men you probably think of whilst kissing your wife? I think this kid is superb, and Spurs must feel so foolish for letting him squirm away in 2018. Crystal Palace too, actually. Because imagine Olise, Eze, Zaha, and Madwake as a front 4. Excuse me whilst I drool into my Rice Krispies. Crystal Palace, Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah is getting criticised at Crystal Palace. And okay, I can't really defend the guy too much because I've always thought he was a hilariously overpriced striker who was just coasting off a mini purple patch at Arsenal 2 years ago. I mean, remember when he scored 2 against Manchester United on Sky Sports? He's been living off that game ever since. But if I was to defend him a little bit, this kid is clearly an out-and-out centre forward. I mean, not a very good one, but a striker nonetheless. And well, he's only started up front for Palace twice. First off against Liverpool, where he's been marked out of the game by arguably the greatest centre-back in the world. And then he was given just 66 minutes up front, playing away to an informed Nottingham Forest. That's been it. His other starts have been out wide, or as a number 10. A number 10! Oliver Glasner has tried to squeeze this guy into being the next Michael Olise. No, they are completely different players. I mean, it's a bit like a widowed dad remarrying some incredibly fat woman and trying to squeeze her into his dead wife's PJs. No, your wife was an Olympic swimmer. This woman looks like she ate her whole family. She ain't gonna fit. Everton Ashley Young. Ashley Young is an easy target, and I get it. He has given away a lot of penalties in an Everton shirt, and he has been a liability at times, but I'm sorry. Instead of moaning about how defensively weak he can we just take a minute to appreciate that this man is 39 years of age and has started 13 Premier League matches this season, completing the full 90 minutes in 11 of those games. I mean, since returning to England from Inter Milan at the age of 36, he has gone on to start 77 Premier League matches since. 77! This is someone who was once a sparkling left winger, getting compared to Messi and Ronaldo 15 years ago. I'd like to see Ronaldo play right back at 40. I think he's now playing out of position as a defender. He is so old that he can potentially be marking his own son in the FA Cup next month. And we want to complain that he's off the pace? Yeah, I should think so. He's nearly in his 40s. He's older than his old Villa teammate Gabby Bonlahor, somebody who's been retired for 7 years and who now looks like a melted Halloween mask. Was young. He can still model shirtless on the cover of Men's Health. He probably has not touched the kick-ass since 2010. I'm not going to complain about Young at the back. I am in awe of Young. Fulham burnt Leno. okay, I don't really know if there's any Fulham players that get criticised all that much, but ever since being dumped by Arsenal many years ago, Bert Leno's reputation took a big massive hit, but the German is still a very good goalkeeper, right? Ipswich Town, Calvin Phillips. Oh, come on, guys. Just leave Calvin alone. Leicester, James Justin. Yeah, it may surprise you to know that Leicester fans think James Justin is rubbish. Yeah, the 26-year-old fullback who's literally playing for England just months before the last World Cup. To be fair, his debut was in that horrendous 4-0 defeat to Hungary, so he probably doesn't want to stick that photo on his fridge. But look, Leicester fans talk about this former Luton right back being just a very average championship standard defender, but I don't know. He did score 2 goals away to Arsenal this season, including a sizzling volley, which prompted me to stick him into my fantasy league team. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I've always thought that Justin was pretty good. But now, Twitter would have you believe that he's no better than a paralysed snowman. To be fair though, at least he's not the most criticised JJ in social media.
I'm in the thick of it, everybody knows!
Liverpool, Darwin Nunez. Liverpool fans have finally given up on Darwizzy. It's funny, about 2 years ago, it would have been a sin to criticize this Uruguayan striker because Liverpool fans are so protective of this guy. They'd sooner you slagged off their mum. But now, those fans are kind of ready now to toss this £70 million striker into the biggest, fattest dustbin they can find. Look, it has not worked out under Arne Slot so far, but there is a player in there. He's the type of striker who, yeah, because his league form has never been that good, you sort of assume that his numbers have been terrible. It's only when you check Wikipedia and realize that, oh wait, he had a 15-goal debut season and then improved on that with an 18-goal season. It reminds me of Fernando Torres at Chelsea. Poor in the Prem, sure, but lads, 11 goals, 22 goals, and 11 goals again. Not bad for someone considered the biggest Premier League flop of all time. Nunez has ability. Look at the screamer he cracked it against Bournemouth just a few months ago. He is having a poor few months, sure. But I think if you sell him, you will regret it. Because I can see him exploding elsewhere. I can fully see him signing for Atletico Madrid and then becoming a 30-goal-a-season beast as they win La Liga and reach a Champions League final. So just be prepared that if you sell him, he's going to be like Diego Forlan was after leaving England. A Uruguayan Prem flop who was world-class in Spain. Just ask Fulham. Man City, Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker is a scapegoat. Man City fans are looking for reasons for their horrible form. And of course, let's just pick up the guy who's an easy target. A 34-year-old right back who is, yes, a complete idiot off the pitch. Again, he'd probably get a Christmas tree pregnant if he wasn't careful. But come on, I did not appreciate the pile-on on Sunday afternoon when he tried to get Hoyland sent off for a headbutt. Ben Bertrand Diaz has already shown that you can be successful in getting the other guy sent off if you collapse like a mermaid with the mumps. If somebody grazes your head, which is probably a mating signal in the world of cows. Again, I wouldn't put that past Kyle if he's on a night out at the farm. But look, I've heard Man City fans say,
leave the football before it leaves you.
Nonsense. He is an incredible athlete. He turns 35 this season, you know, and he played 47 games last season. He still got his pace somehow, and is one of the few true leaders of this Man City squad. And oh yeah, is unquestionably the greatest English right back of all time. Man United, Alejandro Garnacho. Look, I get the criticism for Marcus Rashford. People are finally fed up with him, so I wasn't shocked to see him drop for the matchday squad this week. But to see Alejandro Garnacho sitting at home drinking milk with his cat, I kind of feel like that disappointed school principal when she sees you and the school bully in detention.
Oh, I get why he's here. That delinquent keeps bringing dead rats to school, but you? Why are you here?
To me, Garnacho is a sweet talent, a really brilliant Argentine international winger, potential superstar, who hasn't been that bad this season, right? People are calling him childish. Why? Because he sits on a fence when he scores? He's got 8 goals and 4 assists by Christmas. That's not bad for a left winger in a pretty rubbish team. Does he deserve to be embarrassingly cut from even the bench? No. On his day, he is class. At the very least, he's going to reach the standard of a peak nanny. He is somebody who could have survived in Sir Alex Ferguson's teams. I mean, he's better than Ashley Young. I don't get the criticism or the fans getting in his face outside the ground. I think he's really good. Newcastle, Jacob Murphy. Can we finally put some respect on Jacob Murphy's name? This man has been utterly pilloried and screamed at by Newcastle fans, with everyone so quick to write him off as a bang average caterpillar. A useless sunflower on that Newcastle right wing. But lads, people are only saying that because, yeah, he's been at St James's Park for 7.5 years. I don't think people have ever really forgiven him for being an early doors flop. I mean, for a solid 18 months, this £12 million buy from Norwich was used as a rare stick to beat Rafa Benitez with because, yeah, £12 million was a lot of money for a club who had to beg Mike Ashley to give them some couch change after his daily trip to Greg's. And yeah, Murphy flopped for a few years there. But I'm telling you, since Eddie Howe came in, I think relative to his ability, I think he's been great. I mean, whoever thought he'd ever be starting away to AC Milan in the Champions League? And you can tell the criticism has been getting to him because after he scored 2 against Leicester at the weekend, he cupped his ears to the crowd. Which reminds me when Iota Perez used to do that back at St. James's Park. Because yeah, all the fans used to moan about him, talking about him as if he was some useless brain-dead Gucci model. Yeah, fast forward to 2024, he's now 31, just won Euro 2024 with Spain, and now has 10 goals in his first 12 games for Villarreal. I think a lot of Newcastle fans feel pretty silly for chatting about him as if he was some disgusting Spanish omelette. Honestly, lads, Murphy's the same. Leave him alone. Nottingham Forest, Ibrahim Sangare. Look, I think this is just frustration from Nottingham Forest fans because Ibrahim Sangare, whilst the PSV was talked about as one of the best up-and-coming midfielders in the world, he goes to Nottingham Forest, immediately underwhelms, and he's now in the treatment room with a busted hamstring. But lads, don't give up on him yet. Now, this Ivory Coast international is not going to fulfill his potential to become the next Michael Essien, but he's still a pretty good player. Southampton, Gavin Bazunu. Okay, I know he's nowhere near the first team now because this Ireland international goalkeeper is out with a busted hand, but I feel so bad for the guy. This 22-year-old must feel helpless because he's out injured and is watching his career being replaced by both Queefy and Kelleher and Aaron Ramsdale. And I remember after the Saints' last relegation, the fan base turned on him, saying he wasn't good enough for the Prem, but he is. He's like the Irish James Trafford, a former Man City prospect goalie who belongs in the Prem. Todd and Brendan Johnson. Look, I know the criticism for Brendan Johnson has gone quiet recently, but just wait. He is definitely someone who's always going to be skating on thin ice with the Spurs fans. Come on, they made their mind up about him last season, calling this Welshman a batting average pencil on the wing. And look, if he doesn't continue his insane purple patch form, which he won't, they will go back to hating him. Trust me, I have seen this before with Newcastle and Miggy Almiron. I mean, Newcastle fans went quiet about this frustrating winger when he had his outrageous purple patch in the autumn of 2022, where he scored 8 goals in 9 league matches. But once that dried up, oh lads, speak to any Newcastle fan and they will talk to you about the Paraguayan as if he was paralyzed. So I guarantee you, when Johnson comes out of this purple patch, and I think he already has, Spurs fans will once again scream that he's a useless chicken nugget. But he's not, he's quality. West Ham, Thomas Souček. This was to be expected because Thomas Souček is the modern day Marouane Fellaini, both absolute embodiments of David Moyes football. Honestly, when Moyes was flushed out of Manchester United, most of the fans were still moaning that he didn't take his ugly teddy bear with him. And similarly, because Souček is an unflash, set-piece mountain, somebody who's all elbows and forehead, then yeah, he is not easy on the eye at all. This isn't the West Ham way, right? Whatever that is. But lads, come on, this Czech mountain is probably on course for his third 10-goal season in a West Ham shirt. He is an incredibly ugly footballer, sure, but like Fellaini at Everton, he is absolutely useful and dynamite in the air. Wolves Hwang Chan. Since when was Hwang Hee-chan rubbish? Wolves fans all know better than me, sure, but this 20-year-old South Korean international winger, he used to be a major goal threat, right? 13 for Wolves last season, but this time out, Gary O'Neill barely played him and yeah, he's stuck on no goals. He hasn't completed the full 90 minutes since the opening day. Sorry, 13 goals last season. He was like a mini Son Heung-min. Doherty, Vitor Pereira has gotta get him back in the team because he's got an eye for goal. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you think. Let me know. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I barking up the wrong tree with these? Are some of these indefensible? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.